Welcome back to Scripps News Tonight. The G7 is meeting in Japan, and they've stepped up their support for Ukraine. The U.S. and its allies announced plans to tighten sanctions on Russia, and President Biden is signaling that he'll offer the Ukrainian military help in using F-16 fighter jets. Ukrainian President Zelensky is also set to meet G7 leaders in person over the weekend. White House correspondent Haley Bull has more for us about the new aid effort. Haley?
Good evening, Christian. President Zelensky has long asked for F-16s. The U.S. has long been reluctant on the issue, but now it appears there is at least support for training Ukrainian pilots. A senior administration official says President Biden let G7 leaders know the U.S. will support a joint effort with countries. While that happens, the countries will decide when, how, and who provides jets. The official says the training in Europe will take months. President Zelensky welcomed the news, calling it a, quote, international fighter jet coalition. He said, quote, this will greatly enhance our army in the sky. I count on discussing the practical implementation of this decision at the G7 summit in Hiroshima. The G7 meeting has had a large focus on Ukraine, with countries announcing coordinated new steps against Russian aggression.
It's no coincidence we are here today in Hiroshima, where an immense tragedy took place almost 80 years ago. It reminds us what we, as G7, are defending and why we are defending it. Peace and freedom, because it's what all human beings want most. We are a union of values, and we will defend these values. And that's why we are standing with the people of Ukraine. The Kremlin continues to fan the flames of war across Ukraine. In the EU, we are working hard to get Ukraine what they need: more weapons, more ammunition, and faster.
The U.S. specifically announced a sweeping package of more export control measures, hundreds of sanctions and designations of individuals and entities, and authorized more sectors for sanctions. The actions in part aim to counter sanction evasion efforts and support for Russia's war machine. Ahead of Zelensky's expected engagement with G7 leaders, he has visited a string of countries looking for Ukrainian support. That included the Arab League summit in Saudi Arabia, where he touted his country's peace plan. Some lawmakers in Congress have previously called for faster support for Ukraine. Today, Senator Roger Wicker, the ranking member on the Senate Armed Services Committee, echoed that, stating the president's, quote, delay in training Ukrainian pilots on F-16s is just the latest example of our allies seizing the initiative before the U.S. does. The remaining time in the G7 summit is expected to have focuses on things like clean energy, economic security, as well as the countries or G7 leaders' approach towards China. Christian?